all the Trump people think that all of the other media is fake news. I mean, Trump was really good at getting that message out there that anybody who spoke against him, it was fake news. And that, you know, Trump could say something and then the next day it was reported and it was, you know, something really stupid, and then he denies saying it. And if people said, but here he said it, he would say that was fake news. And he's still doing that. And again, you know, this is a strategy that Hitler used in Nazi Germany, is to really, you know, downplay the news, to create a distrust between the media and the people so that they didn't listen to the media, they only listened to the leader. And that's part of what Trump's strategy was. There's certainly a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. There's the whole QAnon movement, which is, you know, some of what they spread and that people believe. I mean, I'm more concerned about the real fake news that people are believing, you know, like the idea that they were spreading a whole thing about how Hillary Clinton was part of a sex ring that was shipping young children for human trafficking, and it was shipping them off in Wayfair bureaus. And people believed this, that the young children were being hidden in Wayfair. Wayfair is a big furniture store, inside these bureaus to be shipped as sex slaves to people. And, you know, a news source publicized this and people believed it. So, you know, it's that kind of, we have to try to figure out a way, again, to get back to that the news is, you know, people talk about the news and not make up stories, and that people are called out and challenged. You know, we've made it so easy for people to lie and never challenge them. And I mean, Trump did that in the 2016 campaign, and the media let him get away with it. Even his Republican allies called him out before he was a nominee, and they challenged him and they said that was a lie. And once he became the nominee, they all gave up and said, oh yes, this is, you know, and it's over and over. I mean, there are newspapers like the Washington Post that have kept track of all the lies that Donald Trump has told. And I don't know what the number is. I don't know if anybody else has that number, but it's well over 20,000 lies he's told since he became president. And so, and then the other part, and Barbara just mentioned this in her comment too, is our educational system. We have to learn to teach children to be more critical in their thinking. You know, we spend a lot of time in our country on rote memory. We spend time teaching children that in 1492, Christopher Columbus came to America without ever looking at why did Christopher Columbus come to America? What happened when Christopher Columbus came to America? What was here in America? He didn't really come to America because there was some other nation there. We talk about, you know, facts and faith without ever looking at the why of it, and without learning how to do critical thinking and analysis of these issues. We don't do that in it. I don't know if they do that in your country, but in our country, we don't do that. And a lot of that has to do with the testing. We years ago passed legislation that required all of these tests, all of these standardized tests. And so teachers now are required to teach to the test, and the test is all about memorizing facts. They never learn to think critically. So they never learn to take a look at. In terms of your first part of it, there wasn't, I mean, certainly people were worried about that. I was in downtown DC on election night in front of the White House, and everything there was boarded up because people were concerned about that. It certainly did not happen. There was some, but not to that extent. There certainly was some violence. You know, if you had seen the governor of Michigan, there was a whole group of people that plotted to kidnap and assassinate her, a group of right-wing nut jobs, basically. There were some other areas where some of that happened and went on. There was certainly some violence that happened when the Black Lives Matters marches were happening. What they found is most of that violence was instigated by right-wing, nationalists and white supremacists who were pretending to be supporters of Black Lives Matter, and then would start the violence. There was one in particular in Minnesota where they saw these two guys throwing bricks and bombs through a window to start a fire, which started all of the riots in Minnesota. and they later found out these guys were part of a white supremacy group, but they were pretending to be doing this. So there are a lot of that happened, not to the extent, and thankfully not to the extent that people thought it could happen, although it's not over yet. And Donald Trump even yesterday said he still, won the election. It's being stolen from him. So we'll wait to see what happens when Biden is inaugurated.